Hi, my name is Daniel Clark, and today on 08/29/2025, I'm going to be conducting assignment STH for 223, assignment 2. So please sit back and enjoy this lesson. As I received this weapon fully assembled, I had to do an exploded version of this weapon, but I'm going to show you that in a second. Before I get to that, I'm going to show you my workspace is free and clear of any live ammunition, as well as this SAR-6 and the magazine that came with it. So now let's jump back into it. So here's the exploded version of the SAR-6. As I said, I received it assembled. Here's the exploded lower, and here's the exploded upper. Next for this is what I had to do is I had to choose 6 components, and then I had to describe what would happen within the firearm if these components malfunction, and if this malfunction would be a danger to the operator. Then I had to argue my disposition on this. So the first thing I got was the recoil spring. The recoil spring, a malfunction in the recoil spring guide can propose a real danger to the operator, especially in the firearms where precision and reliability are crucial. Let me break down why this isn't just a minor mechanical hiccup, but a potential hazardous failure. Here are the failures that can occur. Unpredictable cycling behavior, loss of control during firing, component damage or fragmentation, and compromised safety mechanisms. My defense on this position on why it can hurt the operator is the recoil spring guide isn't just a passive component, it's a critical control element in the firearms operations. When it fails, the consequences can range from annoying malfunctions to life-threatening failures. Whether you're dealing with a pistol or power tool, the principle is the same. A compromised recoil system puts the operator at risk, period. Next one I got was the hammer strut pin. Here's the hammer strut pin. A malfunctioning hammer strut pin can be a serious safety concern for the operator. This is a small but crucial component, plays a key role in the hammer's movement and the overall firing mechanism. If it fails, the consequences can range from frustrating misfires to dangerous mechanical failures. Here are some failures that can occur: failure to cock or fire, unattended discharge, trigger system disruption, and internal damage. The hammer strut pin secures the hammer strut to the hammer, allowing proper transfer of energy from the mainspring to the hammer. If this pin is bent, broken, loose, or improperly installed, it can disrupt the entire firing mechanism and is definitely a potential hazard to the shooter. This is part of the lower. Next, we have the firing pin retainer. The firing pin retainer, if it malfunctions or gets damaged, it can cause a failure to fire, lightning strikes, unattended discharges, slide or bolt damage, difficulty reassembling, and inconsistent cycling or ejection. One more thing, it can cause trigger group instability. It can be a danger to the shooter. My defense on this position: the firing pin retainer secures the firing pin within the bolt or the slide, ensuring excuse me, it only moves when intended during the trigger pull. It's a small part with a big role. Controlling ignition, timing, and preventing unintended movement of the firing pin. The firing pin retainer isn't just a convenience, it's a critical safety component, and this component is part of the upper. Next, we have the trigger bar guide. The trigger bar guide, if malfunctions or is damaged, can cause a failure to reset the trigger, slide lock or sticking, failure to fire, compromise manual safety functions, and increase wear and tear. It can cause a huge danger to the operator, and here's my defense on this. And that's just not a theoretical concern. The trigger bar guide ensures smooth, consistent movement of the trigger bar, which is essential for proper engagement with the sear or striker. When this guide fails, whether through misalignment, wear, breakage, or improper installation, it can compromise both the reliability, safety of the firearm, and it demands immediate attention. This part is part of the lower. Next, we have the firing pin stop. The firing pin stop, if malfunction or damage, can cause unintended discharge, slam fire, can be a slam fire risk, failure to fire, or lightning strikes. Can cause trigger safety compromises. Excuse me. It can cause slide or bolt damage or wear risk. It could be a danger to the operator, and here's my defense. It can compromise the firearm's reliability and safety. The firing pin stop is designed to hold the firing pin in place within the slider bolt, preventing unintended movement. It plays a key role in timing the firing pin's release to ensure it only strikes the primer when the trigger is pulled. If this part fails, whether it cracked, loose, misaligned, or excessively worn, the consequences can be serious. This part is part of the upper. Lastly, we have the SAR. The SAR, if malfunction or damage, could cause end-to-end discharge, slam fires, or full auto behavior. It can lose trigger control and bypass safety mechanisms. It's a serious danger to an operator. Just ask SIG. Anyways, I digress. The defending position and my defending position on this is straightforward. Once you understand the SAR's role in the firearm mechanism, the SAR is a crucial component that holds the hammer to the or striker back until the trigger is intentionally pulled. If it fails, the firearm can discharge unpredictably, bypassing safety mechanisms, or even fire multiple rounds uncontrollably. The SAR is not just a mechanical part, but is the gatekeeper of the controlled fire group. This is part of the lower. So, if you, like I said, you have any more questions about that one, just ask us. SIG. I'm sure they'll hook you up with the right answer. Okay, so next on the list, I want to go over the cycle of operations of this weapon. As you can see, my workspace is still free clear of live ammunition, and so is this weapon. The cycle of operations for the SAR B6 firearm involves a series of steps that can ensure the firearm functions correctly. Here's a simplified overview of the cycle of operations for the SAR B6. First, you have the feeding. The chambering, the cartridge is moved from the loaded position to the position in line with the bore axis of the chamber. Chambering, the cartridge is moved from the position moved from its loaded position to the position in line with the bore axis of the chamber. Chambering, the cartridge is then moved from the position in line with the bore axis into a full seated position in the chamber. The locking, the action is immobilized in preparation for firing. Firing. Energy from the shooter's finger is then transferred to the cartridge, causing the primer to ignite after it is removed off of safety. I'm glad this is not loaded because I literally just flagged myself. Anyways, I digress. Then you have the well, we know the safety works. I continue. Then you have the extraction, the spent cartridge unlocking. The action is released, allowing the cartridge to fire. Extraction, the spent cartridge casing is removed from the chamber to the action. The ejection, the spent cartridge case is ejected from the action to the outside the firearm. Cocking, the action is reset to prepare the next cycle. These steps are repeated until the firearm malfunctions, runs out of ammunition, or the shooter stops pulling the trigger. Alright, so in a minute I'm going to open this weapon up, but first I want to run through effect functions check. As you can see, this weapon is on free and clear of live ammunition. There's no live ammunition currently around me in my workspace or in the magazine I'll be using. So first of all, I want to drop this forward. I want to make sure the safety's on. I want to give the trigger a good couple pulls. As you can see, the hammer's still to the rear, and it is not allowing the hammer to drop, so I know my safety is working. Now I'm going to insert the magazine, test the magazine release. As you can see, that is working. I'm going to remove the selector switch from safety semi. I'm going to listen for the metallic click, watch the hammer forward, and make sure that's operating in the same way. I'm also going to then drop the magazine, pull the trigger one more time, lock the bolt back to rear, and I want to check my my magazine catch. As you can see, that's working just fine. Next up, I want to check the outside for any cracks, damage, wear, and tear. Next check I want to do on this weapon is I want to break it apart, and I want to check the inner assemblies. I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. As you can see, I field stripped this weapon, and what I want to do here is check the insides. I want to check the springs. I want to check the firing pin spring, and I want to check the barrel. I want to check the firing pin spring, and I want to check my sear. I want to check my hammer, because it's always better to check the inside of the components if you can, so you can actually see what's working and what's not, and if there's something malfunctioning. So you just want to check all your internal components with the gun open, as well as do your outside malfunctions. This has been my video. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the